In the previous video, we work in MUDBOX using textures painting. So we used the texture to create more advanced materials like leather and skin. And we also use the various painting tools to apply graphics to our model, to our object. So we saw how we can create different effects using repeatable textures, and also we can apply logos and do packaging, branding, and work with the vector graphics. And we use also some furnishing and like chair, armchair, and other models. And also we worked on our main project here with the character design. So in this video, I'm gonna continue with the character design. I'm gonna continue from here, and we're gonna explore more painting tools. So we already saw those sculpting tools, and we need to see a few of the paint tools, and then we're going to move into the pose tools. Now these tools are for posing our character, so to create rigging, to do binding, and also to animate and prepare for animation. So we're going to see also how we can set up the rendering and the animation using lighting. So we're going to create lights. We're going to also learn a little bit more about the camera and some of the most important effects, like the depth of field effect, which is gonna put something in focus and something out of focus. And we're also gonna see here in the render menu how to render an animation or a single image, so how we can prepare our project for rendering. So first of all, let's jump down to the bottom of the screen where we have the lighting presets. Now we can use these presets to test some of the different lighting system that MUDBOX has prepared for us. So we can start with this to study a little bit how lights can be used to create different look and feel in terms of the scene, in terms of what we want to tell our audience. So we are like telling a story using lights. So different types of lights gonna have different effect, and they're gonna give a different look to our character and our scene. Now also the material is important, as you can see, so be careful to use the correct setting also for the material. And there in the object list, we can see now we are using two lights in this lighting system. Now these are pretty basic lighting system. I'm going to show you something more advanced using a system of three lights. And here we can just select a light from the object list, go to the properties, and adjust the color and the intensity. So we're going to work with these parameters right here. So intensity, and also we're going to see more of that settings later. Now if you delete the lights, you cannot delete all the light. You can just delete all of the lights and leave one. And you can see there I'm adjusting the intensity. And then we're going to add more. So we're going to start with a single light, and we're going to create what is called a 3-point lighting system. Now 3-point lighting, it's a really powerful system that you can set up really easy, and it's used in many fields like photography or cinema, movies, TV shows, TV series, and again, product design, industrial design, and visualization. So it can be used for characters, can be used for products, can be used for any object. And it's based on three lights. The first one is the key light, which is the most important, the most intense. Then we have the fill light, which is gonna like balance the shadows and the lights on the subject. And then we have a backlight, which is coming from behind, and it's kind of creating a three-dimensional feeling, detachment of the foreground from the background. And again, you can see many examples on the web. So we're gonna jump into MUDBOX. Let's start to place our light. So we have a light here, which could be our key light already, and we can create more. So if I go to create lights, I can choose between point light, which is an omnidirectional light. So it means that it goes in every direction and can be moved around. And then we have directional light, which is only one direction, like the sun or like the moon, and it cannot be moved but only rotated. And then we have the image based, which is similar to an HDRI, so it's going to be placed around our scene and could be any image that we can apply to the light. So if I go in the object list here, I can start with the first one, and this again could be our key light. So this is going to be a really strong light with a really high intensity, and here I can just right click and open the properties, or else I will find the properties panel down there, as we know, on the bottom right. So we can rename this, we can name it key light. Now be careful to stay in the properties if you want to keep the name there. So I'm just gonna rename it, and then I'm gonna move to the next parameter, and that's gonna be saved as a name. I'll actually gonna save this as key, and there I'm gonna start to work with color. Now using color is really important, especially for the key light, because this is gonna give the overall color to your scene. So it's a really important decision, and you can also load an image right here and pick a color from an image, or you can use these other color selectors that we already know. So you can see that when I'm using only one light and I change it to something really strong, like blue or a yellow, it's gonna like paint of that color all the scene. So it's a really important light. It's gonna, you know, give the main color for everything. So it could be a green color, like sci-fi scenario, or could be something warm, like a nice orangish color, or yellowish, like sunset. And then you can adjust the intensity. The scale doesn't change the effect on the character, on the subject, but you will see it's only going to be like for a visibility reason. So you have mainly the color and the intensity. These are the two most important parameters of the light. Now, if we do show the gizmo and show the light, so that's going to show us the object. It's going to show the light as a series of arrows, essentially, because this is a directional. And then we have the grips, like the gizmo. And if I click on those circles, I can rotate the directional light. So directional light works only with rotation. And you can see there the effect on the subject. So you have a different way the subject is illuminated. So you can create like a street lamp effect, or like a more theatrical effect with the light coming from below or above, or you can, you know, just rotate it and make it arrive from the left side or the right side. And you can see the other side is kind of total black. So this is what we're gonna do also with the fill light. We're gonna try to get rid of those black parts. Now you can also use the directional light as a backlight. You just rotate it and make it come from behind. But in this case, I want to leave it as a key light. So this is going to be my first light of the 3-point light system. It's going to be a key light coming from above and from the left side, the right side of the character. And then when I'm finished, I can also just deselect the show grips and show lights. Now, another important one is cast shadows. And also here you can change the resolution of the shadows, which means that it's going to create more accurate shadows on the character. So it's going to improve the quality also of the final render. So you may want to adjust also the shadows. And now we're ready here to move on. I just created a plane from the standard geometries of MUDBOX. And you can see now the arrows there and the circles are getting into the way. So I'm gonna get to the light and deactivate those once I know that I like them that way. And I will place the plane just below the subject so I can see the shadow there of the directional light.